In one place in Surah Al-Ahzab, in Surah number 33, this is easy to appreciate. He says, I'll recite the Arabic first, مَا جَعَلَ اللَّهُ لِرَجُلٍ مِنْ قَلْبَيْنِ فِي جَوْفِهِ. Allah, the one to be worshipped and obeyed, did not place two hearts inside of any man. I'll say that again. Allah did not place two hearts inside of any, what did I say? Man. So obviously, who's being excluded here? Women are. Now if he said, he didn't place two hearts inside of any human being, now that would have been inclusive, wouldn't it have been? But he used the word rajul, which is exclusive of women. It's specifically referring to men. And what's even more peculiar is the rest of the passage deals with women. It's very interesting. The rest of it deals with spouses and all of that. But the first part of it is particularly assigned to men. The other thing that's also peculiar, and I want you to remember, is that when hearts are mentioned, now where are hearts located? In the chest. And this is actually a figure of speech used in the Quran all the time. Al-qulub allati fi as-sudur. Hearts that are in the chests. In other words, the Quran commonly mentions that the hearts are placed inside the chest. But in this particular ayah, I'm not going to say verse, ayah, instead of saying he didn't put two hearts inside the chest of any man, he used the word jawf, which refers to the entire body. It's not a restrictive term to the chest. He said anywhere inside of him, he did not place two hearts. Now this is the two peculiarities I wanted to bring to your attention. And this is kind of obvious, because a woman can get pregnant. And if she does, she can have two or more hearts. But when she has those two hearts, they're not in her chest, but they are inside of her. So jawf is more appropriate. Subtlety in language.
Alright, let's stop on here just to show you the scammers and how they fool those poor Muslims. You see, Muslims are so desperate looking for something in their book and they cannot find it because Muhammad, he could not do miracles. So they try to make it like why Allah he said that and why it says that it must be a miracle. Why Allah said you cannot have two hearts in your body, as he said, and he's talking about men. However, the passage, as he said, the rest of it speaking about women. So why he speak about men and exclude the women? And then he come to the conclusion, because if he spoke about both, then that will be wrong, because women later they will get pregnant and they will have two hearts. You see, the deception is very clear. All what you need to do, just go to the verse. This is chapter 33, verse number 4. Allah has not assigned into any man. So Allah speaking now about what? About men. Two hearts within their body, or his body. I will go with the translation. I'm not going to discuss really, because jawf is not his whole body. Jawf simply is the places which can be empty and there is a space in it. That's what jawf means. This is why in Arabic we say jawful layl, which means the third part of the of the night, because it's empty. You can hear your sound to far away, and if you speak, people they can hear you from far away because it's empty, like jawf. Like when you have a drum, the inside the drum is jawf. It is look like a full body, but it is empty inside. That is the jawf. So now why Allah excluded the women? This is the question. That's a miracle, because he speak about men, but when the whole verses after actually speak about women, about your wives specifically. You see the word wives? Well, you see how funny and how dummy this claim is. All what the Quran is saying, that in your heart you cannot have, inside you, God he created you for one heart, and you cannot love all your women equally. And that's what the Quran says in different verse. So what the statement here, you don't have two hearts, you have only one heart. Yes, you have many wives, but you have one heart. It's not about a woman, she will be pregnant. And you know what? If this is really about this, how come what about Allah? He say that clearly. He say, well, God he made men with two heart. Well, did not make them with two heart, but women they will have two heart later. And even if you say that, it's not a miracle, because people they know that women she get pregnant and she will have a baby, and the baby have a heart. So it's very silly, and Muslims like, wow. When the fact the verse is speaking about nothing, just a normal statement, Arab people use it before Islam. saying that a man, he don't have two hearts in his chest. And actually, I think that this is a phrase is used around the earth, where people, they say men do not have two hearts, you know. So it's a very silly. Sometimes I feel like, you know, it's not worth really to talk about it, but you have to. So the verse is very clear. It's speaking about you and your wives, and you cannot love them equally. And because of that, God, you know, gave you, the reason of that, God gave you one heart. So you marry many, but you don't love them all equally. And you can see that in different verses in the Quran. That can be found in chapter 4, verse 129, where it says, and you will never be able to be equal between wives, those you marry. So why you around them to do marry than women if they cannot be, you know, fair with them? You see them, and you never be able to be fair and just between them. So that's what the verse is talking about, and suddenly became about science and became about hearts and became etc. Let us continue with the second scam in this video. And by the way, I call it scam because when you mislead people, it doesn't matter. Even if you are trying to make it look, you are praising your God, your religion. If it's not true, it's not true. It's a scam. Let's continue.
I'm going to talk to you about the biggest surah of the Quran. That's what I'm going to talk to you about first. The biggest surah of the Quran. Now, what is it, folks? Yeah, this is surah number 2. Surah number 2. This surah, this biggest surah, number 2, is made up of how many ayahs? 286. 286 ayahs. Somewhere in this surah, the ayah occurs, I'll recite the Arabic first and roughly translate after. وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. Thus we made you a middle nation. One of the utterances in this surah that's found in here is, thus we made you a middle nation. Now what's the Arabic word for middle? Wasat. The Arabic word is wasat. You don't have to know that. But know that this statement, this declaration occurs in this surah. This surah, was it written or was it delivered in the form of speech? Speech. And also, as a historical comment, it wasn't delivered at once. It took almost 10 years to be revealed. So this one surah was coming piecemeal. And while it was coming down, pieces of other surahs were also being revealed. And the messenger would instruct his companions, these ayahs belong to this surah and those ayahs belong to that surah. But when the whole thing is said and done, Baqarah, the second surah, is made up of 286. And in ayah number, listen to this carefully now, in ayah number 143, the Lord says, we made you a middle nation. How many ayahs in this surah again? 286. And where does he call us a middle nation? In the middle. In the middle.
That's amazing. That's really astonishing. First, just to show the ignorant Abdul that the number 143 is not in the middle. You know, people don't think deep. People normally, they just take things, especially if you don't want to discuss really, if you want to believe, you don't want to think about it. So I made this document in front of you all, so you can see it with me. Now, this is the verse. This is, you know, we have verse number 1 to verse 143, and then verse 144 to verse 286. Now, is this one really in the middle? It's not. It's not. Just to make it simple for you, if we take 8 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is number 4 in the middle? It's not. It's absolutely it's not. This is something very stupid to say. People, listen to me carefully. If we have, when it's come to the numbers, and we divide it to 2, let us use mathematics. So 8 will be 4 plus 4. So here we have 4 numbers, here we have 4 numbers. Alright? This 4 is not in the middle because simply it's not between the two 4. This 4 here is part of the first section, the first half. It's part of it. In order for the 4 to be in the middle, have to be out of it. Out of the first section and out of the second section. So the stupid idiot he is saying to us, and sorry for saying that word because it's really stupidity, to say that this is in the middle where it's not. To have the verse 143 to be in the middle, then we have it to be here. And it should not be part of this section or this section. If it's part of it, it's not in the middle. Do you understand, Abdul? Like, do you have a brain? I don't think so. Anyone he says something to you, you take it like, wow, I'm in the middle, unbelievable, but it's not in the middle. Same time, the word wasat appear in the Quran in many places, and how come it's not appear in the middle? Anyway, so it is not, it's false, and it's a scam. Let us continue.
If you're going to do this in writing, how do you do this in speech? And by the way, at the time, there was no concept of ayah number. Like I told you, ayahs, there are 286 ayahs, and there's 143 ayahs. At the time, they never said, haven't you read ayah 12?
So how you know that this is the middle then? You see, he says at the time, there was no middle. There's no numbers. Because I can make one or two verses longer than others, eating some other verses be after or before, or joining together, and that will change the whole numbers.